A fifth person has been arrested in the Kayla Huff. Skyler Powell is now charged with hindering the prosecution of a felony. The probable cause statement says Powell allegedly allowed Elena Mason to conceal herself in a basement, evading law enforcement. Mason is accused of kidnapping and Kayla Huff, along with stealing a police vehicle. Powell is in the Randolph County Jail and appeared in court today for an arraignment.
A few days ago, I did a video on Kayla Huff. She was the 16-year-old out of Missouri who originally was reported missing, but then they found her body, and her body was it was in a horrific condition. Well, there's updates. I actually have the court affidavits, the complaints that I'm going to read to you guys. A possible motive that the big media is not talking about, and plus the person who was only 17 who was first arrested, I have his name too. Stay tuned, Fugitive TV. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we do here is we take a look at cases of missing individuals or unsolved mysteries, true crime, and I give you a different perspective on the case. Sometimes I do a deep dive that maybe other people aren't doing. Now, see, I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I successfully ran from the law for 15 years, living in different countries under different names. Eventually, I had to turn myself in. Now I run this YouTube channel. I have multiple companies. I help family members locate missing individuals or people that need to be brought to justice. A few days ago, I brought to you a case. The lady's name is Kayla Huff. She was the young lady out of Missouri who originally went missing, and then they found her body. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you just a little bit of rewind, refresher, a little bit of details of what happened in that case, just in case you forgot. Or if you knew and you don't know what happened to that case, you didn't see my last video. And I'm going to talk about they arrested another person. Okay, another person has got arrested over this situation, plus a possible motive. Okay, and when you hear this motive, you're going to be probably disgusted about this motive. All right, and let's just get to it. There's a lot to talk about. Let's get to this. So what I'm going to do is take you back in time and just give you some quick details, just in case you don't know or you need a refresher of what happened, okay? So Kayla Huff, who was 16, who originally went missing since May 6th. People searched on foot and horseback and local law enforcement and drones to try and locate Huff. Huff's last reported sighting was around 10:20 a.m. the morning of May 6th in Randolph County. Okay, now remember, this is in Missouri, so Randolph County. The Huff family said Kayla was not home and her car was abandoned on Rollins Street in front of the Assembly of God Church in Moberly. Well, we will come to find out why her car was abandoned pretty much on the side of the street. Now, the very first person who was arrested on May 9th, okay, 17-year-old arrested in connection to the disappearance of missing teenager Kayla Huff. Now, they never told us the name of this individual. I got the name, so we're going to get into who this individual is. Now, in my last video, I said I was willing to bet that the 17-year-old was a boy, okay, and probably a boyfriend of hers at the time. We're going to get into that. It says the 17-year-old juvenile was arrested in connection to the disappearance of 16-year-old Kayla Huff, according to the news release from Randolph County Sheriff Andy Boggs. Boggs said Kayla is still missing and search efforts are ongoing as of Saturday afternoon. Volunteers and law enforcement in Randolph Bennett Conservation Area Saturday searching for Kayla. So at this time on May 9th, the 17-year-old gets arrested, and they're searching in a conservation area for her. All right. Now, my whole thing was when I first heard the story and I heard the 17-year-old got arrested, I said as soon as he got arrested, he started talking. He started singing. He started telling, snitching, whatever you want to call it, because I'm pretty sure when they sat down and interrogated him, and you know, which they always do, I said, I know for a fact what these investigators probably said to him, or the likes of what they said to him. Hey, You still have your whole life ahead of you, okay? We know you probably were not the mastermind. And they could have lied to him and said, we know what happened. Because they do that to you. They'll lie to you and say, we know what happened, but they really won't know what happened. They'll just say that just to get you this, have a fear and you're like, oh my God, they know what I did. And then you start telling because you think that you're going to get a better deal. So I'm pretty sure that when they arrested him, they did something similar to that. And he started telling. It might be how they found where they knew where her body was at was because of him. And then after him, all the rest of the people start getting arrested, which we're going to get into, okay? So we're going to get into 3 people were charged with kidnapping and the disappearance of her, right? So on May 13th, now they didn't find her yet, okay? So they didn't find her yet. They're still searching. But on May 13th, 3 people were arrested, all right? So you have Elena Mason, Christopher Hull, and Hunter Ames. All 3 of these individuals were arrested in the disappearance and kidnapping of Kayla. Now, remember, they didn't find her body. So how did the police know to arrest them and to charge them with kidnapping? Once again, the 17-year-old who originally was arrested most likely told and most likely is going to tell on every single one of these people that is of age, okay? Now, come to find out, Elena Mason is related to the 17-year-old, okay? 17-year-old, his name is Chris Woods. So Elena Mason and Chris Woods are related. Allegedly, they are half brother, half sister. Different dad, different moms, I don't know. With the last name, I'm guessing different dads. But half brother, half sister. So they're related. So Chris Woods at one point was dating Kayla Huff. Elena Mason is Chris Woods' older sister. So we're going to get into what the possible motive that I was being told, all right? And then we're going to read the arraignments, the court arraignments, so you can find out the details. Now, let's go to May 14th. The day after those 3 were arrested, that's when Kayla Huff was found, all right? It says, on behalf of the Randolph County Sheriff's Office, I want to extend our deepest condolences to Kayla Huff's family and loved ones. During this incredible, difficult time, Andy Boggs, Randolph County Sheriff, this case has deeply impacted our community and the men and women involved in this investigation. While we are thankful for the timeless efforts of the law enforcement emergency responders, volunteers, and community members who assisted in the search, we mourn alongside this family as they face an unimaginable loss. Okay? Court documents allege that Elena Mason, another individual, kidnapped a person in Randolph County on May 6th, the same day that Huff went missing. Authorities allege that Christopher Hull and Hunter Ames aided in the crime. All 3 are charged in first-degree kidnapping. Okay? It says a 17-year-old was also arrested in connection to the Huff's disappearance, who is Chris Woods. Okay? Now, when they found her, okay, the details of the situation is when they found her, they realized that she was struck with the baton repeatedly, and then they used a weapon to fire upon her, okay? So not only did they strike her repeatedly with the baton, then they used a weapon to fire upon her. So in other words, it sounds like the poor girl was tortured before they took her life. That's what it sounds like, all right? So we're going to get into the next person who gets arrested, okay? So you have the 17-year-old, Chris. Then you have the 3 adults, all right? And one of those adults, is his older sister. So the fourth person who was arrested was Julian Mason, 26 of Moberly, was charged with tampering with evidence in a felony prosecution Thursday morning. Court documents allege that Elena Mason, another individual, kidnapped a person in Randolph County around May 6. Now you realize Elena Mason and Julian Mason have the same last name. So I'm still don't have clarification if Julian Mason is related to Elena and Chris. If he's the oldest brother or a cousin, that part I am still not clear on. So if you guys know if Julian is actually related to them too, go ahead, comment below, let me below, or you can email me, let me know, if he is actually related to them. Now that you guys have that, all right, there was a fifth person who was just arrested, okay? So the fifth person who's arrested, and let me switch the screen for you guys so you can see who the fifth person is, okay? So it says, man accused of hiding suspect in Randolph County kidnapping unaliving case. Now, I can't say the M word because here on YouTube, on smaller channels like mine, sometimes it will flag the video, even sometimes the whole channel, and my channel will not spread to the masses. So I don't want that because stories like this need to get out. So please like and subscribe. Help this channel grow. I've already got 25,000 subscribers in the past year. I'm one of the fastest growing YouTube channels in the true crime sector. So please help me get to 30,000 by the end of this summer. It says a Moberly man has been arrested and charged with the prosecutors say he hid a suspect in a Randolph County unaliving case in a residence where he was staying, according to court documents. Skyler Powell. So now we have the 17-year-old Chris, the first three adults who were charged with kidnapping, but that was it at the time, okay? Then you had Julian, and now you have a sixth person. So altogether, 5 adults, 1 17-year-old, okay? Probable cause statement alleges that on May 7th, the suspect who was detained in connection to an investigation into a missing juvenile concealed herself in the basement of a residence where Powell was staying. The probable cause statement does not name the suspect, but details match the detainment and arrest of Elena Mason, 20, who was charged with first-degree unaliving and first-degree kidnapping. Now, at this time of this arrest, she was charged with first-degree, which we're going to get into. The probable cause statement said a suspect stole a marked Randolph County Sheriff's Office patrol vehicle while in handcuffs, abandoned the vehicle, and went to a residence in South Clark Street, Moberly, where Powell was staying. So, Elena, when the police when they figured out Elena was involved, police went to, they had a warrant out for her to question her and, things like that, right? So they go question her, they put her in handcuffs. But the cop, what he does is put her in the front seat, all right, people? In the front seat of the cop car, not the back seat. And in the front seat, there's weapons and everything. So what does she do? She slipped around her handcuffs to the front, jumped in the driver's seat, stole the cop car, made the cop look like an idiot. Might be because he put her in the driver's seat or the passenger seat. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that one, all right? So she ended up driving to this guy's house, Skyler's house, and Skyler hit her out. Pretty much what happened. Powell allegedly cut the chain on the suspect's handcuffs and allowed her to conceal herself in a basement in a residence, where law enforcement found her later in the day, according to a probable cause statement. We're going to read the probable cause statements. Now, here is all the 5 that's arrested. There's no picture for Chris, the 17-year-old. Well, they're not giving you one, but I'm going to. But here's the 5. Okay? It says 3 other people, 19-year-old Hunter Ames, 23-year-old Christopher Hull, and 26-year-old Julian Mason, are also charged in connection to Huff's disappearance and death. The Randolph County Sheriff's Office said a 17-year-old was also arrested, but Randolph County Juvenile Office has declined any information about the 17-year-olds because some counties, they don't want to give any information if the person is underage. Now, here in Florida, where I'm at, they don't care how old you are. They are going to reveal and put you on blast. If you're 10 years old, you're going to see your face everywhere. Difference here. Now, originally, like I said, they were only charged with kidnapping, but that all changed May 15th, which was only a few days ago. The Randolph County prosecution attorney amendment charges for 3 suspects accused of, what they did to Kayla Huff. It says Elena Mason, 20, Hunter Ames, 19. Those 2 now face charges of first-degree M and first-degree kidnapping in connection with what happened. Then it says Julia Mason, 26, also had a first-degree kidnapping charge added in addition to tampering with evidence and felony prosecution charge. And we're going to get into what Julia Mason did, because Julia Mason is one of the reasons why her car was found where it was found. Julia Mason helped put motor oil in her gas tank before she started driving, you guys. So he sabotaged her tank. It was all planned. These individuals are sick and all plan to do this to somebody who's not even their age. All these individuals are out of school. High school, should be out of high school anyway. But like I said, we're going to get to the motive, because some of you guys are asking what the motive could be. So where do you hear the motive? Pretty sick. Then Christopher Hall, 23, faces charges of first-degree kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and felony prosecution. All right. Now, once again, these are the 4. That was before Skyler just got arrested. All right, so let's go over these probable cause. Okay, the probable cause statement. The statement that gives the law a probable cause to arrest these individuals. Pretty much, it gives you a little bit of evidence of what's going on. Now, this says on May 6, 2026, the parents of, and then it redacts the name, is Kayla. The parents of Kayla reported her as a missing person to the Randolph County Sheriff's Office through the course of investigation. Investigators determined that Kayla was kidnapped by, and then it blanks out the name, and it says Anne, it blanks out the name, and blanks out the third name. Investigators learned that, told multiple individuals that she, Anne, had taken Kayla in the trunk of the vehicle to Randolph County Conservation Area and assaulted her with a blunt object and then fired upon her. Many of the circumstances of then blank statements are corroborated through other investigative means. Okay. Now it says a vehicle was located in unoperational near the West Older Road, and advised investigators he and did ride in the vehicle, and it did break down on RT near the West Road. Video surveillance capture, and it blanks out the name, and I walking together on May 6th, which is the last time Kayla can be accounted for. Now, I'm going to fill in some of these blanks, okay, where I think some of these people are named in. Now it says blank vehicle. Kayla's vehicle was located, and it says, then it goes, I advised investigators he and Kayla. So I might be Chris Woods, the either boyfriend or ex-boyfriend at that time. Okay. The young, the one that's Kayla's age, the 17. All right. So Chris, advised investigators he and Kayla did ride in, all right, Kayla's vehicle, and it did break down near, and then it says surveillance video captures Kayla and I, which is probably Chris, because I believe they were seen walking together after the car broke down. Now, the next one says, Lieutenant NOS 568 was conducted several non-custodial interviews with Christopher Hull in reference to his investigation. Through these interviews, Hull advised he participated in aiding in and blank action to kidnap blank, which is most likely Kayla, or assisted in discarding evidence or deterring law enforcement. It should be noted each time Hull was interviewed was after I received a tip of his involvement. when confronted, would provide further information that he had lied or, admitted in prior interviews. So you already have Chris telling. You already know he's telling. Okay. Not only that, in my video before, I told you guys, Elena, all right, who is the sister of Chris, who pretty much is the mastermind of all this. All right. Elena called other people outside of this circle to help. Now, there's information online. Some people are saying that this friend probably knew, this friend probably knew, and her best friend probably knew. There's people talking about this online. I'm not going to put their names on blast or anything like that. They probably did know, but because she did call other people, but they're not, far as I know, detained or arrested or anything like that yet. So we're not going to put them on blast as officially because maybe they didn't know, but we did know she called other people for help. And some of those people she called, instead of helping, ended up telling. All right. Paul advised on May 5th, 2026, he and others drove on and described arriving at a residence believed to be where, and is blanked, stated prior to this blank got motor oil. So, the other Mason, Julian, got motor oil out of his acquaintance truck. CH stated when they arrived at the residence, which is Christopher Hall, put motor oil, the fuel tank of, and then that's blanked out, of the vehicle. A search warrant was executed on known phone number to a Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless confirmed was the account holder on May 5th at approximately 0300 hours. Let me get to part 2 of this. Hall further advised on May 8, 2026, he and blank and others discarded expandable baton. Remember, I told you that's what she was struck with, which he knew was used to assault Kayla. Hall stated after law enforcement executed a search warrant at his residence, located the expandable baton still there. At this time, no one had advised law enforcement a weapon like this was used in the commission of the crime. Hall stated that blank wanted to discard the baton to hinder the prosecution of blank. Hall, knowing this, agreed to drive blank somewhere to, and that's all blanked out, show law enforcement where the baton was left, and then corroborated Hall's admission. All right. So they didn't even know the baton was used until Christopher told them, to Mr. Hall told them. So this is Julian Mason. Julian Mason is the one who poured the motor oil in the vehicle that caused the vehicle to break down. All right. Because if it wasn't for him pouring the motor oil in the vehicle would have never broke down. Now, it says on May 6th, the parents of, and then it says, that's when they reported her missing. Through the course of the investigation, investigators determined that blank was kidnapped by blank and his sister or foster sister. Okay. So I'm going to fill in the blank right here. Reported her missing to Randolph County sheriffs. Through the course of the investigators determined that Kayla was kidnapped by, which is probably Chris, the 17-year-old, and his sister or foster sister, Elena. Investigators learned that blank told multiple individuals that she and blank had taken Kayla in the trunk, so that Elena and whoever else has put Kayla in the trunk, which could be Chris. The trunk of a vehicle that, and they took her to Rudolph Bennett Conservation Area and assaulted her with a blunt object and then fired upon her. Many of the circumstances of AM's statement, which is Elena, are, corroborated through other investigative means. Okay? So she even admits to what's going on. Now it says vehicle was located, and it tells you where the vehicle was located at. All right. Then it tells you about the surveillance cameras, about how it broke down. We went over that before. And then right here it says, this lieutenant has conducted several interviews with blank reference to the investigation. Through these interviews, advised he participated in aiding in It says blank and blank action to kidnap Kayla or assisted in discarding evidence or detouring law enforcement. Advised on May 5th, 2026, he and blank and Julian Mason drove on RTEE and described arriving at a residence believed to be where blank resides, which is probably Kayla. Stated prior to this, blank got motor oil out of an acquaintance truck. Blank stated when they arrived at the residence, blank put motor oil in the fuel tank of, and that's all blanked out. Then it says the Verizon Wireless confirmed was the accountant holder on May 5th, 2026 at approximately 0300 hours. I observed blank phone was near blank residence. So pretty much his phone records pinged him to everywhere. It sounds like all these individuals' phone records pinged them to everywhere. I don't understand. It's 2026. People out here committing crimes, still with their phone in their pocket. Hey, but as long as you guys want to keep doing stupid things, it makes people like me and law enforcement our job easier. It says further advised on May 8th, Mason and blank went to Brunswick area to discard an expandable baton, which he knew was used to assault, and stated after law enforcement executed a search warrant at the residence, located the expandable baton still there. At this time, no one had advised law enforcement a weapon like this was made. All right. So this goes on to talk about that. And then also says Mason has a criminal history. Okay. Now, the next one is on Skyler Powell, the individual who tried to hide Elena after she stole the police car. This one is not all the way redacted, so I can't show you guys. So I'm just going to read it to you. Okay. So it says on May 7th, 2026, Suspect and I was detained by members of the Randolph County Sheriff's Office during an investigation involving a juvenile reported missing on May 6, 2026. Suspect one was secured with department issued handcuffs behind her back and placed in the front passenger seat of the Mark Randolph County Sheriff's Department. So suspect one, we know, is Elena. Once again, they got her as suspect one as she's the mastermind. So who made her suspect one? Who was the first one who was arrested? While still restrained and handcuffed, suspect one entered the residence located at 5 Street, apartment 1. And then it says, at that time, Skyler Powell, who stated he was an overnight guest at the residence, was the only person present. Powell admitted that suspect one informed him she had stolen a patrol vehicle, and he acknowledged observing that suspect. That suspect one remained handcuffed behind her back. Powell stated he permitted suspect one to conceal herself in the basement area of the residence, which was accessible only through a rear exterior door. Powell further admitted he used a cutting instrument to sever the chain connecting the handcuffs and provided a description of the tool used. By doing so, Powell enabled suspect one to regain unrestricted use of her hands and arms. Powell's actions assisted suspect one in avoiding detection and apprehension by the numerous law enforcement officers actively searching the area for her location. He described the cutting instrument as being red and black. So on the second page of this one, it says at approximately 21:05 hours on May 7, 2026, law enforcement officers located suspect one inside the residence, where she was actively concealing herself and refusing to comply with lawful commands. Suspect one was found wearing department-issued handcuffs on each wrist. However, the connecting chain had been severed, rendering the restraints inoperable. Examination of the chain revealed markings consistent with having been cut by a Pioneer type tool capable of severing hardened metal. On May 16th, 2026, the tenant of the residence provided consent for officers to search the basement area. During the search, a pair of black wire cutters with a red stripe on each handle was located in the basement, as Powell indicated. The cutting blades located near the pivot point was shiny, while the rest of the tool was dirty, with portions of rust and corrosion. Half-round indentions were observed near the shiny areas of the blades, which seemed consistent with the cutting of a handcuff chain. The tool was seized as evidence. Probable cause statement, as of hearing statement verbatim, this statement sets forth only a minimum amount of facts necessary to establish, and the rest of it, that's pretty much it. But so that was Skyler's involvement. She stole the police car. It looked like she ran to his house. He hit her in the basement and cut her handcuffs off. All right. So now he's charged with this, aided in abetting and tampering and everything else. Now he's involved. So now we have Elena's probable cause. Okay. Now you notice how none of these still say the motive, right? None of these still have a motive, which we're still going to get to. All right. So this goes on to say on May 6, 2026, parents of, and it goes on to tell you about how they reported her missing once again. It says, Elena Mason. Investigators learned that Mason told multiple individuals, to include blank, that she and blank had taken Kayla in the trunk of blank vehicle to Randolph Bennett Conservation Area and assaulted her with a blunt object and fired upon her. Admitted to investigators that he did provide Mason with a firearm, and she did tell him that she and blank kidnapped and fired upon Kayla. Okay. In a non-custodial interview with blank, he advised Lieutenant West that he did visit blank on May 6, 2026, starting at, all right, 0800 hours, and advised they did ride in the vehicle and it did break down near. Now, the blanks right here, this is probably easy to figure out. In a non-custodial interview with probably Chris, he advised Lieutenant West that he did visit Kayla on May 6th. That's when she went missing. 2026, starting at approximately 0800 hours. Advised they did ride in the vehicle. Now, it goes on to say, vehicle was located here. You know, it didn't work because they put motor oil in the vehicle. Video surveillance captures, and it's Chris and Kayla walking together on May 6th, which is the last time Kayla can be accounted for at approximately 10:18. Now, video surveillance captures the east side of Mason's residence at, and that's blanked out. This video revealed at approximately 10:34 hours, a white Chevy Impala identified by tires and spotlight, blank, arrives at the residence. I observed blank exit the driver's seat of the vehicle and is at the residence until 10:57 hours. When blank gets in the driver's seat of the vehicle, a female matching the description of Mason gets in the passenger seat. They leave south from residence. Video surveillance reveals they return driving Impala at approximately 12:16 hours. I later spoke with blank, who stated Mason called him at approximately 12:25 hours on May 6, 2026. Blank stated Mason told him she needed help because her and blank had kidnapped an individual. Excuse me. Her and her brother. Them two ran off Bennett, assaulted them, then you know the rest, all right? Now it says, the Randolph Bennett Conservation Area is a widely wooded area. When Mason was taken into custody on May 7th, she had and continued to develop a rash which appears to be poison ivy. Mason told jail staff, was this from being in the woods? Or it was from being in the woods. A known friend of Mason's, okay, here we go with these friends that I told you got, advised on May 5th, 2026, okay, that he and blank, Mason and others drove on blank and described arriving at a residence believed to be where blank, and stated prior to this, Mason got motor oil out of an acquaintance truck. Stated when they arrived at the residence, Mason put motor oil in the fuel tank. A search warrant was executed on Mason's known phone number to Verizon on wireless. Verizon records confirmed Mason was an account holder. On May 5, 2026, at approximately 0300 hours, I observed Mason's phone was near blank, also corroborated with the occurrence. Okay. Based upon what I have learned in this investigation, the disappearance of Kayla is indicative of foul play. Blank has not been seen or heard from in 6 days. This describes an uncommon behavior for her, further or personal belongings. Now, this is the probable cause for Elena Mason. I know it's a lot of people, guys. We got one more. We got the idiot that supplied the weapon. Now, before I even read this, in my prior video, I told you guys, Allegedly, this guy was asleep. Elena and them woke him up and said, hey, we got this girl in the trunk, tied up, whatever it is. We need your weapon. And what did he do? Instead of saying, no, why do you have somebody tied up in the trunk? Or what's going on? He just handed them the weapon. And in my last video, I said, what do you think he's going to get? I said, most likely he's going to get first degree because he handed them the weapon. Well, he's getting first degree. Here's his probable cause. Okay. Investigators learned that Blank told multiple individuals, to include Hunter Ames, that she and Blank had taken Blank in the trunk of Blank vehicle to Randolph Bennett Conservation Area and assaulted her with a blunt object and fired upon her. Investigators had received information that Ames had provided the weapon with the firearm she used to, shoot her. Man, you have. Thank God for snitching. Because all of these affidavits I'm reading, all these complaints, everybody just snitching. One started, the next started, everybody is snitching. If you're not built for this life, don't even do it. Don't even do it. Okay? Don't even do it. People like this, you're not going to survive in prison. None of these people are going to survive in prison. Okay? They're not going to be able, what they call, walk the yard. You know how I'm reading this paperwork to you guys right here? You know, when you get to prison, when you get to where you're going, sometimes there's somebody in there waiting for you to get there, waiting for you, sometimes with your own paperwork. You walk into a facility and they got the paperwork on you already. Another inmate. And they look at you like, oh, you're Christopher Ames, or whatever his name is. Hunter Ames. Oh yeah, you was snitching. You not surviving. Oh, you Elena. Oh yeah, you was snitching. Oh, you that 17-year-old that told on everybody. Yeah, you was snitching. Oh, you the one that told them where to find a baton. Ah, okay, you was snitching. These people are not going to survive, y'all. They're not going to survive whatsoever. They are going to be tormented as long as they're in the facility, which is a good thing. Now it says, Lieutenant Ann West has conducted several non-custodial interviews with Ames in reference to his investigation. Through these interviews, Ames advised he participated in aiding in blank actions to kidnap blank or assisted in discarding evidence or deterring law enforcement. It should be noted each time Ames was interviewed was after I would receive a tip of his involvement. So once again, same thing what happened with Christopher. Somebody tipped him off. Somebody told and was like, hey. So then whatever they told, the police wouldn't let them know at first, because that's the way it works. They'll let you talk, and then they'll come back to you like, we know you're lying. It should be noted each time Ames was interviewed after I would receive a tip, involvement, and when confronted, would provide further information that he lied or admitted in prior interviews. Ames advised on May 5, 2026, he and blank and others drove to where blank, Ames stated prior to this, got motor oil out of the bed of the acquaintance truck. Ames stated that when they arrived at the residence, blank put motor oil in the fuel tank of the blank red vehicle. A search warrant was executed on the blank known phone number. All right. Ames stated in the late morning hours of May 6, he woke up asking for a pistol. Ames stated that blank was at the residence as well. And then blank told Ames they had someone in the trunk of the vehicle. It was a white Chevy Impala. Ames stated blank told him she needed his pistol to take care of Ames. Now it says she, so obviously Elena. Ames stated in afternoon time, blank returned. Ames stated that told him that they took the individual to Randolph Bennett, drug her from the trunk of the vehicle, assaulted them, and then fired upon her. And then unalived them. Ames stated he confirmed blank was talking about shooting blank. Video surveillance that captures the east side of blank and Ames residence corroborates the statements provided by Ames. All right. This, like I said, thank God these idiots are idiots. So now that you guys, I read to you the criminal complaint, everybody knows who's involved, okay? It started with innocent Kayla, started dating Chris, the 17-year-old, okay? Which we still didn't get to the motive yet, all right? Kayla and Chris had an issue. Chris tells his sister, and all these adults now get involved to take care of a 16-year-old. Now, here's the motive, or possibly, allegedly the motive. Christopher is half sister and brother with Elena Mason. There is reports going around that Kayla found out that Chris, the 17-year-old, was sleeping with his older half sister, Elena Mason. There's people saying that this is what happened. After Kayla found out, she told some people. Now, Krista and Elena, you know, I can only just take it from there that they probably felt highly embarrassed. Think about it. People find out you sleeping with each other and your family, your sister, and let's just call it for what it is. Half or now, you're still your sister and brother. I don't care if it's stepsister. You are sister and brother, and allegedly you are sleeping with each other. And you don't want nobody else to find out more about it, right? So what do you do? What do you do? You have to take care of the threat. That means Kayla has to go. She's the one who knows the information. They got to cut her loose because they can't afford for her to tell the whole world that, hey, I broke up with Chris or whatever it is because I found out this was going on. Now, like I said, I do not know if this is true, but this is what people told me. And if this is true, sick and disgusting. And then the ones who helped, did they know that this was going on? Did they know that this was going on? Were they all just doing each other? They all look like a bunch of meth heads, you ask me. The adults, they all look like something. They own something. So were they all doing something? Oh, man. Once again, my condolences go out to the family. Kayla should not have gone through that whatsoever. Especially if this is true. If you guys have more information, you guys are welcome to reach out to me. Welcome to comment below like you did last time. Please subscribe, turn notifications, especially if I do another video on this, because if something else comes up, I'm going to do another video. So like, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you want to support the channel, please join the membership. That will support the channel and help this channel grow and help it to where I can actually do this full time for you guys and full time for family members that need this. Okay. Please take care of one another. All right. Love one another. Look out your surroundings. This is Fugitive TV. And until next time, guys, I'm out.